I try to explain to people it's not like this magic pill, right? You don't just grab a crystal and then all of a sudden you're rich and you're traveling the world and you have perfect health and huzzah. That's not how it works.
This is episode 143.
Hello and welcome to my podcast show, Your Coach, Helen Uskovic. This is the Smart Chat series. This is an episode where I chat to an expert or a thought leader from around the world on a certain topic.
Ta-da, we're here. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the show. I am here with the beautiful Jessica. Actually, this is a funny story. She has a surname that I recognize, and I contacted one of my friends on Instagram and I said, hey, do you know who Jessica Lahoud is? And she's like, yeah, that's my sister and you know her. And I was like, oh, because my assistant,
together.
she knows you. And she said, you have to talk to Jessica. She's like so amazing. And I said, oh, you know, I have a friend that has like a crystal shop in Bondi. And it's so funny, such a small world. So Jess, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Before we kick off, I'd love for you to share a little bit about yourself and how you landed in this space that you're at. Like, what happened? How did you get here, Jess?
How did I get into crystals? Sure. Well, my name is Jessica Lahoud. Together with my husband and my family, we have a crystal business called Mineralism, and we have 2 stores in Sydney. We're online as well, and I'm also an author, and I have a book that just recently came out called Crystal Companions. The way that I landed in this industry, in this space, it's interesting because it kind of goes back a couple generations. I'm 3rd generation gem merchant. My grandparents came here in the 70s, opened up a jewelry store. My parents worked in that jewelry industry as well. What happened was my dad especially became really fascinated with the gemstones in the jewelry and then spent a lot of time mining. So my parents then focused on opal mining, which of course I grew up all around crystals. So my entire life, I just thought it was completely normal to have crystals and gemstones and jewelry all over your house. And these beautiful gemstones were so much a part of my life that it was funny and a little bit strange to me to learn as I got older that that was not a normal experience, that people didn't normally go opal mining on their school holidays and go to international gem and mineral trade shows, which is what I was very, very blessed and fortunate to have experienced growing up. So one particular trip when we went overseas to a gem and mineral show in Tucson, Arizona, which is arguably the most famous gem and mineral trade show in the world, we met some really beautiful people. And one of those people who I became friends with as a child is now actually my husband, Jed, who I opened up Mineralism with. So I sort of was born into a very fortunate position in that I was born into the gemstone industry, but the experience of kind of developing a relationship with crystals on a more spiritual and energetic level was something that just kind of gradually developed for me as an individual. And as time went by with having the store, more and more I was getting these consistent questions in store, people who were wanting to know, you know, what's the best crystal for protection? Which crystal should I be using to enhance my spiritual development? You know, what's the best crystal for my general health? These really constant questions. I thought it was really important that we had a book on the market that was available that really demystified the jargon surrounding crystal healing and spiritual healing in general. I think that there are a lot of really well-intentioned people in the healing space who sometimes use words, I suppose, because it comes naturally to them, because they're a part of that community. And sometimes it might be as a way of, I guess, asserting their authority in the space. But to people who are not already a part of the community, those words and those phrases that they're using can be really confusing and off-putting and make them feel on the outer. And so my book is really all about making sure that everybody, no matter what background they come from, no matter how involved and immersed they want to be in crystal healing, can get something out of the book and take away something, whether it's, okay, well, you know what, I don't want to do crystal rituals or crystal gritting, and that's fine. Maybe I just want to wear crystal jewelry. And it has a lot of information that really breaks it down so it's understandable to everybody.
So Jess, what was the name of your book?
It's Crystal Companions, an A to Z guide.
crystal companions. Great. I need to get it because I don't have like a good crystal book.
Oh, well, it's a good one. I'll send you one.
Yes, thank you. I love that. Jess, can you share with us and tell us the story of like where did crystals originate from and like who founded them and said, hey, let's try and use these rock-looking things for other purposes? How did that start?
Yeah, well, the history of crystal healing is fascinating, and it goes so far back that we probably don't have an exact timeline of when crystals were first used. I think it's safe to say that from the beginning of human civilization, people have been collecting crystals and using them, whether we're going back to, as far back as we've got ancient Greek times. They used crystals for crystal healing, ancient Romans, ancient Egyptians, ancient Sumerians. So literally from the beginning of human civilization, there is documentation that crystals have been collected by people and also used for, I guess you could say, health, well-being, magical purposes, whatever it may be. Yeah.
I feel like crystals get a bad rap, like they're used by witches. Do you ever get people that tell you that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's part of the industry. I think these days as well, people aren't as afraid of the label witch. And, in the space that we're in as a society now, it's generally, at least in the community I'm a part of, it's generally considered an accepted thing that everybody has their own spiritual journey that they're on, and everyone has their own spiritual beliefs. And whether you identify as a witch or you identify as a spiritual person or you pick any religion who believes in crystal healing, that's perfectly fine. There definitely has been, though, over time, a stigma of it. And I'll say people have previously used the word witch in a really negative way, in a way, I guess, that they were afraid of. So they thought, oh, well, you're a witch because you're using crystal healing, but they're using that word witch as a derogatory term rather than referring to someone's spiritual beliefs. And there are definitely still people out there who I think shy away from it.
Yeah, totally. I feel like people as well are shifting more to alternative ways to heal.
Oh, yeah.
And crystal healing, I mean, I've got heaps behind the computer. Lots of rose quartz. Everyone gets me rose quartz.
Beautiful.
Actually, I have one that your sister gave me. Hold on. Your sister gave me this.
My computer is a little blurry, so I can't quite see it. Yeah, so I actually think nobody can have too much rose quartz.
Yes, I know. But the one that your sister gave me, guys, for those of you listening, it's like a little cylinder, and it's like violet and it's got white.
Yeah, that's amethyst. Yeah.
Is that what that is? She gave it to me when I started a new business venture.
Beautiful. Amethyst is so beautiful.
And she came, like, she had this, she had sage, and she cleansed my whole new space. And she's like, put this in your new infrared sauna. I was like, I'll do anything that you say. So she was so amazing.
So amethyst,
I loved it.
I assume it's this business venture that you're doing now. And amethyst is a beautiful suggestion because it's all about aligning your mind, body, and spirit. And that's what you're doing here. With the work that you're doing, you're really helping people to align their mind, body, and spirit. So that's kind of perfect for you.
Yeah, that's so funny. Yes, that's so funny. So Jess, can you give us some examples of how crystals can be used? So I literally just mentioned this and people are probably thinking, what does that even mean? And why do you have it? Why, or can you give some examples as to why people use crystals and some of the benefits that they have? Actually, she's given me a necklace as well with a clear crystal. Your sister has stocked me up with crystals.
So crystals can be used for a huge variety of purposes. I'd say probably some of the most common requests we get in store are people who come in and say, I'm looking for a crystal for, say, anxiety, or I'm having trouble sleeping. And there are crystals that you can use to assist you with that, or it might be for protection, whether that be energetic protection, purification of their energy, there are so many ways that you can use crystals in your day-to-day routine to enhance your overall well-being. So, for example, amethyst is beautiful for aligning your mind, body, and spirit. Rose quartz, which you said you had a lot of, like, you really can never have too much rose quartz. It's such a beautiful stone. When you think of energy in terms of vibrational frequency, love is the highest vibrational frequency a person can hold, love and gratitude, right? And so when you have love and gratitude surrounding you, it's really hard for any negative or lower vibrational energy to penetrate within your energetic field. So by surrounding yourself with something like rose quartz or any really high vibrational crystal, you're shifting the energy of that space so that you're in a better position to continue your day-to-day activities or your life or your plans or your manifesting or whatever it is you're trying to achieve in that space without any interference from outside energy coming in. And it helps to keep you personally in a high vibrational state. So rose quartz is such a high vibrational stone. And I don't know if I said it because I just assume people know that rose quartz is for love. But a lot of people assume it's for only romantic love, and it's really for unconditional love and a universal love. So it's that opening of the heart and expanding of the heart energy, the energy center of your heart. So it's a really beautiful crystal to have, and really nobody can have too much rose quartz.
I love that. I've been using crystals for like over a decade now, and they literally light up my life. Sometimes I don't know what crystal I've got. Like I've got one that I'm looking at. I think your sister gave me this too. And it's like a little rock, and it's got, what are these colors? Earthy tones, you know? And I have it because...
Oh, you'll have to send me a photo of it and I'll identify it for you.
Yeah, I will. But she told me that I need to have this. So I was like, yes, Gabby, I will. Keep it with me
absolutely. Forever. Trust the crystal lady.
And I've had those for many years now, 6 years, I think.
That's beautiful.
Which is amazing.
That's something, I talk about in my store. So something I talk about in my book as well is that, so people always ask me, how do I choose a crystal, right? So when you go in a crystal store and you're surrounded by all of these things that you've never seen before, and it's fascinating, and there are so many colors and so many shapes and so many textures, and then you've got this voice in your head saying, well, how am I supposed to choose one? Which one's for me? Instinctively, we shift into our analytical mind, right? And we start reading all of the descriptions of every stone, and we go, well, is that for me? I'm not sure. That sounds right. I'm not sure. Then you move on to the next one. Well, that sounds right too. No, that's not for me at all. And so you can really get stuck in your headspace trying to analytically choose the crystal that's right for you. And sometimes what's written on the card isn't going to resonate with you because there's only so much you can fit on a little piece of paper, first of all. But also all of these, including mine, every crystal book is somebody's expression of their experience that they've experienced with a crystal. It's an expression of their perception of how that crystal can be used. And that's not to say that that's the only reason that crystal can be used. And there are also always things happening with us physiologically, neurologically, energetically, emotionally, and subconsciously that we're not aware of. You know what I mean? So when you go in a crystal shop, I always say the best way is, one, go on a full stomach. You don't want to be in there hungry. And go through the space after doing a few breathing exercises to really ground yourself, because you want to be really centered in your body, right? You don't want to be in your head going, oh, well, my tummy's grumbly. I have to hurry. I need to get out of here. I feel really hungry and uncomfortable. I feel stressed out. I'm getting a headache. Crystals, especially for people who are very energetically sensitive, when you walk into a crystal store, if you haven't been in one before, you might find yourself a little bit lightheaded or dizzy because there's a lot of energy in that space. So that's why I say eat a lot, because it helps to ground you. Well, not eat a lot, but like go with a full belly because it helps to ground you. And then try to ignore all the little bits of paper with the explanations and really just move through the space do a lap of the store and see if you're feeling pulled to any particular place in the store. See if there are any particular colors that are calling out to you, and you might find yourself constantly drawn to the same crystal over and over again. And my advice is, even if what's written on that card doesn't seem right to you, I still recommend you consider moving forward with that crystal, because it could be shifting something for you that you haven't really become conscious of yet. And that might be what helps you move into the energetic space you're trying to move into, because there's a blockage in the way.
That's so cool. I need to come to your shop.
Yeah, please do.
I will. I might do it this weekend. You have the best job.
I feel very lucky. Yeah, I'm very fortunate. I really enjoy it. And I think crystals are fascinating, whether you're interested in them on a spiritual level or just as, you know, like a nature nerd who thinks they're freaking cool, because they are freaking cool.
They really are.
And I've been in this industry my whole life, and I'm always learning. Like, nobody knows everything about crystals. If you're in this industry, you are always learning something, and it's so fascinating. And there are always new mines being discovered where a new mineral will be, or a new mineral combination will come out. And it's just so exciting to see that, you know, you have this endless source of inspiration from the earth, I guess.
Hey, Jess.
Yeah.
It's time for your first curveball. Are you ready to play?
Oh, I'm scared. Okay.
Your first curveball is, what is your favorite form of self-care?
Oh, I'm really sorry. I'm taking a long time to think about that.
Take your time. Big question.
It is a big question. The more you unpack it, like the more I'm unpacking it in my mind, I'm like, wow, because there's so many different ways that you can care for yourself.
100%.
I'm going to say, I'm really like stuff. I feel like I want to say eating well, because I love eating, and eating well, just choosing the right diet for yourself is such a huge, it's a huge act of self-love and self-care. And it can literally change your life. Like, if I'm ever having, you know, a bout of, say, if I'm feeling really down or I'm struggling with anxiety, or, for example, when I was trying to fall pregnant, the first thing that you go to really is your gut health, and the way you eat changes the way you feel about yourself. It changes how much energy you have. It changes your emotions, your hormones, everything. It's such a huge act of self-love to eat well.
Totally. And self-respect, I believe.
Yeah, for sure.
I love that. Jess, do you have any stories that you can share of someone using a crystal and coming to you and saying, this happened, or this changed, or I was able to do this? Can you give us a specific example of how a crystal helped?
Yeah, it's hard to zone in on one specific example, because doing the work that I do, I have been fortunate enough to hear this feedback over and over and over again, and it's kind of become
so amazing,
a part of a normal. Yeah, it's really amazing, and it's become a normal part of our day-to-day life. Anyone who works in a crystal store will tell you that it's sort of something you hear daily, which is really, really beautiful.
I just got goosebumps.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why when people say, well, I don't believe in crystals, I say, well, that's okay. That's great for you. You know, whatever works for you. Not everybody likes peaches, and some people love them. So, you know, if you don't want to work with crystals, then don't do that. But we definitely get ongoing feedback all the time from people in store that they've had a positive experience with crystals, whether that's having had, you know, a breakthrough in their health, or they finally had a really good night's sleep after not sleeping for, you know, a few weeks, or, you know, maybe they had ongoing headaches, for example, and they've worked with crystals to kind of work on their headaches. There have been people who have come to us looking for recommendations on crystals for dealing with grief, or to help them get into a good headspace to tackle new career goals. It's sort of this endless list of ways that crystals can help you. So, yeah, I mean, for example, today, like, I'm having one of those crazy weeks where I need a little bit of extra energy, and I'm wearing Moldavite today to give me that little boost of energy. So we do get constant feedback from people that crystals are working for them. and they're improving their life with crystals. They feel better by working with crystals. I try to explain to people it's not like this magic pill, right? You don't just grab a crystal and then all of a sudden you're rich and you're traveling the world and you have perfect health and huzzah, that's not how it works. You have to think of crystals as they're emanating a vibrational frequency. I mean, we talked about eating well and how that can improve your life. And you know that certain foods have certain minerals, and some are full of antioxidants and some have potassium, some are high in iron. So we know that we will go to certain foods for certain nutritional needs. With crystals, you're going to certain crystals for certain energetic needs. So it's all working on an energetic level, but your energy body affects your physical body, affects your spiritual body, affects your emotional body. It's all intertwined. So working on your energetic health can also help with your physical health and your emotional health. So when you need to approach something for your energetic body, you can go to a specific crystal. But it's kind of like, okay, so I'm iron deficient, right? But eating one steak is not going to fix my iron problems. So if you're having an energetic problem, meditating one time with one crystal is not going to solve your problem. Think of it as like it's a microphone, right? If you're holding a microphone, but you're not speaking into it, it's not amplifying anything. It's just going to be there, sitting there. So if you're working with a crystal and you're doing the work, but you're using that crystal to amplify your intentions or amplify the energy that you're focusing on that particular issue, then that's going to accelerate the speed at which you achieve that goal.
Yeah, I get it. I do crystal sound healing with the bowls as well. So it's exactly the same thing. It's a vibration.
Yes.
And, the weirdest thing, I had like these twitches going on in my body, and I did lots of sound healing for a couple of weeks straight. And the twitching in my nerves and my muscles just stopped because I was like,
beautiful.
It's a vibration. We're pretty much full of water. Let me see if something is going on with my nerves and see if I can just sort of regulate it myself through sound healing. And voila, it went away.
You did it.
But
That's so beautiful.
You just have to. It's like healing as well, Jess.
Absolutely.
You can have a session with me, but it doesn't mean you're going to be healed.
That's right.
I have clients that call me 2 years after their programs and are like, I just had a shift and this wouldn't have happened if we didn't do that work 2 years ago. And it's exactly right.
Yeah.
So Jess, before we wrap it up today, you've got another curveball. Are you ready to play?
Okay. Hit me.
I am a mindset coach, and I would love to hear how you shift from a negative mindset to a positive mindset.
With gratitude. Honestly, I talk about that in my book as well. One of the best things you can do if you find yourself falling into a negative mindset is and it happens to everyone, you get busy, you kind of lose track of your wellness practices. Some of us are very disciplined and some of us are not, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that you suck at spiritualism or you suck at well-being because you didn't stay on track with your morning yoga, morning meditation and all of that. That's not real life, yeah? So you can try to be disciplined, but the reality is some of us fall off the bandwagon sometimes and we get busy with our kids, we get busy with work, we get busy with trying to eat well and catching up on maths and all the other things that are happening.
Yeah.
And so when that happens, it's easy to kind of let all of that fall to the side. And you might find yourself, reverting back to old patterns, falling into a negative mindset and feeling like you're lacking in some way or comparing yourself to someone online. There are so many ways that this can happen. So I think when you find yourself in that position, the best thing that you can do literally is, whether it's an every morning thing or an every evening thing, is to sit and just in your mind list 10 things that you're grateful for. Gratitude is one of the highest vibrational frequencies you can hold. I mentioned before, love and gratitude. They can literally, just having your mind focused on love and gratitude can change your life. And so if you are focused on the things that you're grateful for, it's kind of hard to be in a negative headspace. Yeah. Something simple like, I'm so blessed to have opened my eyes today, to really feel that in your core. Not everybody is lucky enough to be here today. to have vision, or even something simple like, I'm so lucky that there's a cafe down the road that I can pick up a coffee at when I'm too lazy to make my own coffee. Not everyone has that. Even the simple things in life, you can have a lot of gratitude for. It doesn't have to be miraculous. Everyday human experiences are miraculous, and we should be grateful for them.
And I am grateful for you today. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. It's so beautiful to have you here. I might bring you back because I feel like we can talk more for hours on different things. Before we leave, is there anything that you'd love to share that maybe we didn't talk about, or anything that's coming up for you?
I did write a book for anybody who's interested in learning more about crystal healing, or wants to really understand crystals in a way that isn't going to be, overwhelming or confusing. Some really straight to the point information, and also some really basic rituals that you can use in your everyday life. Or if you want to get a little bit witchy, I have some other kind of more ceremonial rituals in the book as well. And so that book is called Crystal Companions. It's available at all good bookstores. You can also get it at my store, Mineralism. And that just came out last month. So I hope that people can get a lot out of the book. And
you are amazing. I will put the links to her books and everything that you need, guys, in the show notes, so you can go and find her and stalk her, and feel free to reach out to her. I'm sure she'll help you out with anything that you need. And once more, Jess, thank you so much for your time today.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks, Helen. It was such a pleasure.
I hope you enjoy the show today. Remember, you can jump on my Instagram to let me know your thoughts on my podcast show. I would love to see it. And if you have a moment, please share a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts so that we can help move the show along together. If you share a review, please send me a screenshot of it so that I can send you a thank you gift. Thank you for joining me on this week's episode. I'll see you next week for next week's episode. Bye.